Hey, good morning, Taylor. I'm Carl Zymak, and welcome to another installment of Coffee with Rick Sollars. Hey, good morning, Rick. How you doing?
Good morning, Carl. Good. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Let's jump right into the deep end of the pool here. Tuesday night, City Council voted the newest proposal for selling the Sportsplex and the surrounding 14-acre property down by a 5-2 vote. And I guess I'm just going to open-end this. Where are we going from here? A lot of people want to know.
You know, Carl, I think what we have to do is we have to start planning. I mean, we have to start, we own the complex currently. We have to develop a business plan to make it successful. We have to identify what are the future capital needs of that facility, where are the revenue streams, and then we have to expand our business plan. What's the old saying about what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. We cannot continue to do that. We have to go out and develop a plan that works. This current administration has brought it to us now with two different potential buyers. The first one being JRB, and the second one being this group spearheaded by Murray Weichel. The issue is neither of them were really handled the right way. They really weren't put out for public bid, so there was no other interested parties that were allowed to or that did participate. In the first case, we didn't get the appraisal. And then ultimately, when we found out that the appraisal had to be done anyhow, we learned that the building's value didn't appraise high enough, so he couldn't get financing. The second guy, this most recent deal, that opportunity was kind of we used the previous appraisal, but the issue for me is that the appraisal didn't include the land, the 14 acres that's on the south side of Superior. And it didn't include the business model as well. That was never rolled into the evaluation. And the reasons given were that we the city didn't have good numbers. So where do we go from here? I think we have to simply look at this and say, okay, it's ours. Let's develop a plan that works. We have enough people in the city. I think that we should be able to do that.
When you say develop a business plan that works, develop a business plan that works to eventually get rid of the facility and the surrounding acres, or develop a reasonable operational plan to continue on as an arena manager per se?
Well, unless you want to fire sell it. I mean, right now, if you're telling people we don't have good numbers, we don't know the value, you're obviously going to get a low expected rate for that. If we build the business up, if we develop a plan that works, if we make it successful, that it's turning a profit, obviously there's going to be more people interested in that model. You know, I think it's our plan, or what we should be doing anyhow, is developing a plan that works for us to manage it. We're not considering buying this. We own it. And we have several years left on the bond. I think the current bond is $14 million that remains. We have to develop a plan that works. We cannot just keep shooting from the hip. That continues to go on too much. We need to get in there and get focused. We have to look at where are the revenue opportunities. Are there opportunities for us to do some of the same things that these private partners were looking at doing? Can we look at partnering with a hotel on the 14 acres? I have to think that if he's capable of doing all that, we should be as well.
Isn't that part of the problem that personally that you have seen, and one of the reasons why you're running for mayor is because this administration doesn't seem to understand the parallel between bringing in revenue and spending and cutting as it is now. You can't cut yourself out of the situation that Taylor is in, the budget situation that Taylor is in. And you've argued that revenue streams need to be created, they need to be maintained,
Absolutely.
They need to be recreated. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, we've for 3.5 years, we've totally ignored revenue. I mean, even with the Sportsplex, we had managing partners in there. We weren't evaluating them. We weren't measuring them. There was nothing that, there was no operating agreement that necessarily said that, you know, we had to be held to these standards. And then when we did bring in JRV as a partner, there was a $10,000 a month lease that they got 5 or 6 payments behind, and we weren't executing, you know, our right of reversion back. And you know, there's just been no focus on any of that stuff. And you know, just another example of that, you know, we spent $3 to $5 million on that property in total, the 14 plus acres on the other side of Superior Road. And you know, the current value as presented by the administration was $1.2 to $1.4 million. Right. and yet we were gonna let it go for $1. Now, the administration's argument was, well, because we can't offer any tax abatements, that this was kind of an upfront tax abatement. No, hotels aren't, they don't qualify necessarily for tax abatements. They're, you know, what is it that they're going to bring to the community? I mean, it's a private business. There's no real, other than the real estate, there's no real investment in personal property. There's not capital purchases. I don't know about, you know, job creation. I don't know how many jobs, but these are things that in tax abatements, you look for those. You know, how much is their investment? What's the tax capture? How many jobs are going to be created? We put the cart before the horse, and we're simply going to try to justify that and saying, we're going to give them, you know, 14 acres for free in lieu of tax abatements. I simply can't, I couldn't come to terms with that. That made zero sense to me.
And quite frankly, I mean, historically, you might ignore Taylor in this situation, but if you look at the Pinnacle Racecourse and what happened in Huron Township, they gave that acreage away for $1, and it blew up in their face. In Allen Park, the city bonded out for $30 million to buy a huge parcel of land, and Unity Studios went kaput. We're running out of time, Rick, but one thing I'd like you to address really quickly is, where do you think this is going to go? Because I think a lot of voters in Taylor want to know, wherever they stand on, we need to hang on to the Sportsplex, we need to get rid of it, whatever we need to do. I think they want to know, where do you plan on going with it? Where do you think the mayor plans on going? I mean, he walked out of the meeting and was never seen again. But where do you think this is going to settle?
You know, I don't know ultimately what the administration is going to do over the next 2 months. I don't have that answer. I mean, ultimately, what I proposed in the meeting is the appraised value was 5.4 in total, 5.4 million. The offer was 5.4 million. That was for the Sportsplex. Pull the acreage out, and maybe I consider voting on that. It would be a tough vote for me, because I know once it's gone, it's gone.
Right.
The issue is that we are staring down some serious capital improvements at the Sportsplex, and we have to be able to pay for those.
Right.
I think that ultimately, if you're going to market this and try to sell it successfully, you have to do it above board. You have to put it out. You have to let other people participate in the bidding process. And we don't even have an expected price on the 14 acres. It was never really evaluated and said it's worth X. I mean, we don't know if there's any other partners out there. If we are in fact going to sell it, whether it's under this administration or any future administration, it has to be handled above board. I mean, it has to be handled according to the chart.
And that's the difference between doing business the proper way and not doing business the proper way.
That's correct.
Rick, a pleasure as always.
Thank you.
Until next week.
Thank you very much.